and then adhere it to the people who displayed those powers. Like Force Choke would have to be its own trait. You couldn't really just give blanket Force powers because there's people who've never used Force Lightning before.
Right. I don't think, in a lot of ways, I think it might work better to try to come up with, akin to the WWE one, some sort of not huge, but moderately detailed team ability, which kind of represents the Force as a team ability. You wouldn't give it to everyone, but you would give it to Force users, and maybe it would have like a couple of effects. You don't want to go way too far, and then give a specific trait or two to specific people. Don't totally do what they do with superheroes right now, which is not try to create one Clix to rule them all. This is the Spider-Man. It's impossible. This is the Obi-Wan Kenobi of Mos Eisley. You can do that.
Well, you do for sure. You've got Jedi team ability and you've got Sith team ability, where you put the certain things, because the Sith are usually using certain aspects of Force powers versus what the Jedi use. So that's your sort of blanket way of doing it. And then you fill in some of the blanks with traits to cover those things. I think, man, it would be such a great set. I think it's so much fun. I think Darth Vader would be sick, and I would have totally designed a Yoda. Wow, that would have been the pick, as it were, for this episode.
Tiny Jedi, as it were.
For sure, he'd have tiny size, and he'd have like a 20 defense. You better believe it.
He would be super broken.
Well, he doesn't really get hit. I mean, that's his thing. He wouldn't have an insanely long dial. When you watch the fights he's been in, the few times where he gets connected with, he's pretty much like, okay, I'm going to lie down now. But he'd have a short, powerful dial, is what I would do.
I would also think they would learn from the WWE example and release them as non-blind individual packs. Yeah. I think that worked so well for WWE. With a big set, I get the blind thing. With a smaller contingent of characters that you care about and stuff, like I love the non-blind thing for WWE.
I think they should do that for all non-big Marvel DC sets moving forward. Honestly, it should be exactly like that. That will get people to buy it. That was the other motivation to buy it for me.
I think if they had done that with Star Trek, they could have shaved the total number of characters by about maybe 2/3 or 75%. So cut away some of the repetition of pieces or repetition of characters and just release it that way. I'll bet it would have sold well, may have sold better. I really like it.
They would have pulled me in. I would have bought the Star Trek. I would have bought more of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, all that stuff. If they'd actually sold it the way they sold the WWE, where I knew I was going to get that complete contained set like that, I 100% would have done it. I think it makes more sense.
This is probably one of the best ways to bring in May the 4th be with you as we go live with the Metal Lab.
Woo!
Right? That was such a great conversation. I couldn't stop you guys. I wanted to keep hearing it. But
it's also in lieu of the fact that we came way too late to the party with the idea of coming with dials. So.
I know. I'm so sorry. I thought of it at like 5 o'clock this afternoon, and I was going to message you guys. I'm like, no, we're just not going to have time to I wanted to do the dial generator and everything, right?
Yeah, if we, honestly, in hindsight, if we would have thought about that like midweek last week, I would have been like, yeah, let's do that, because that would have been a great idea and a lot of fun and given us something to do, because not much to talk about right now. We were just kind of playing catch up with the stuff that we haven't been talking about, kind of been neglecting for the most part. So obviously, the Week in Heroclix has been indoors and not doing much. I know myself and Mike are not really comfy with Roll20, don't use it a lot, and have a hard time kind of adapting to it. And Jay's not here, but he's probably playing about 13 tournaments this week.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's played in more Roll20 tournaments than there have been somehow. I'm not quite sure how that works.
Jay's gonna come out of this whole thing and he's gonna be like, "What do you mean you guys haven't played Heroclix in a while?"
That's true. Jay's gonna be like, you guys didn't know that I'm the Brazilian national champion, the Puerto Rican national champion.
Because he's been in a Brazilian tournaments.
The German national champion, the Taiwanese national champion. It'll be like a huge string of them.
Yeah.
I will say that I did play in a tournament on Saturday. I played in an online qualifier, which is great. I really had a good time, and I'll tell you why. It was because it was a post-rotation style, and I really am loving post rotation at the moment. I know that I was one of the people mourning the loss of ID cards, and I was afraid that maybe in the post rotation era that loss would be very keenly felt, and in the fullness of time, perhaps it will be. At the moment, it is super refreshing, and it's true that there are a few powerful pieces. Tricentennial, I'm looking at you. That really sort of throw things, and the fact that right now you don't have to have like pictures of your stuff is kind of crazy because people overload their sidelines assuming they're all going to get all the chases or something, but whatever. The point that I'm driving towards is that it's remarkably fun and fresh to take on all kinds of different cool fun teams. So I mean, I'm not going to go round by round or anything. I will say I did well enough. I went 3-1 in Swiss and then made the top 8 and then got knocked out in short order in my first top 8 game. But I really, really enjoyed it. And I, at this point, am very excited to play more post-rotation stuff, especially once we actually are into the true post-rotation era. Right now, they're kind of doing early post-rotation for variety's sake. But I'm ready to say goodbye to the current setup.
What was your team, Tom?
Oh, I played a past theme team. There were 6 characters. It was consistent of a main force Peggy Carter, so the Ultra Chase Peggy Carter at 75, as well as Sheriff Steve Rogers, Witch Hunter Angela, 2 Dr. Fates, one at 65, one at 10, and then the Q, the non-prime Q from the past, at 50 points with 1 click of life. It wasn't a great team, nor was it particularly designed to be. It was designed to not die instantly to Dark Phoenixes. That's about the only thing I really cared about doing was surviving Dark Phoenixes, because the reason why that team has some possibility against that type of a setup is that Peggy has a 19 defend. She's giving that 19 to everybody around. Steve Rogers says that anyone adjacent to him and himself can't modify up attack when they're targeting them. So everyone gets a 19 and you can't perplex up against the 19. And then you've got Q's dice replacement to make things even more difficult. And then Witch Hunter Angela specifically gives everybody a +2 against monsters. So Dark Phoenix is basically looking at 21s and 22s to hit anybody, and she can't modify up. So yeah, it's basically a I'm tired of dying to Dark Phoenix team. And ironically, in my first matchup, I was up against a monster theme team, and it went exactly according to plan. He never hit anything because he always needed astronomical numbers to do it. And in fact, just the defend stacking team, even though it doesn't deploy very quickly, really did work well. Like I said, I went 3-1 with it, mostly because of the fact that it's got enough survivability to make it up the map. And then once we're really kind of hashing it out and fighting it out, there's good survivability there on the team in general. So it was not, I wouldn't likely play it ever again, but I certainly had fun just experimenting with a defend team and seeing if it had any legs. And it had more than I expected.
Awesome. Good to hear. So since we're going to spend a lot of time talking about Heroclix starters, I do want to kind of draw attention to something that's just shown up in Heroclix, and I want everybody to calm down about.
Oh, yeah.
There is a website out there called the Clixhole. And I don't know if you're familiar with your satire websites. The Clixhole is very similar in ways to the Clickhole. It's satire. Somebody is making jokes about Heroclix. It's a ton of fun. Do kind of pay attention and don't overreact to a lot of what you're seeing. One article specifically, the new format for 2020 States Championships lists it lists it as the garbage format, which is like more restrictive than my everyman format.
the garbage bin format.
Right, the garbage bin format. So obviously that should have been what the catch-on was, but it exists. We now have our own version of the Onion or Kayfabe News for those of you who may be wrestling fans. So have some fun with that, guys.
Yeah, it's fun. Don't take it too seriously.
God, don't take it too seriously. It's already a game about little plastic superhero dudes. Stop it, all of us. I'm saying that, like.
I did get a kick out of the article about quarantine deemed a blessing for Heroclix robot developers, making jokes about how Isaac and Easton and Paris are robots built by their parents.
Yeah, I enjoyed
It's
that
funny.
one.
It's
Yeah.
absolutely funny.
Yeah.
Just as and this is ridiculous. Like 99 out of 100 people I expect fully get the fact that this is satire, but all you need is for one person to not get it and another person to not read carefully enough, and suddenly it becomes a heated discussion that doesn't need to be.
So
Laugh at it.
Yeah, you heard it here. Not necessarily first. I don't know if anybody else is. I'm not fully up to date on what a lot of the other guys talk about. You heard it here. Have some fun with it. I'm looking forward to how I find my way into this whole shtick.
Right.
All right. It's time to get into starters. So
Yeah, man.
Let's talk about the upcoming starter sets. I will not flaunt that I have them in hand. All right.
I didn't know you had JLU in hand.
We
too.
do have JLU, actually. We did a little Facebook unboxing video with Alexis showing off the figures. We didn't really spend a lot. You know what? This is our review video. Forget it.
Way to pay attention to stuff on the channel there, Tom.
It's all right, Tom.
I'm teasing.
We're all adults here. We all have jobs. But seriously, Tom,
I just have no good comeback.
but seriously, Tom,
I don't
get
check
on
out
it,
that
okay?
shit.
Because
I don't watch you.
when that Patreon money starts coming back in, man, there's gonna start being a skill testing
I
question
wouldn't
to get
set
it.
foot in your house.
Okay. I cliff noted. I watch just enough of everything so I can pretend like I know what I'm talking about.
All right. That said, we're going to start with the Wonder Woman. Now, the figures are listed 101 to 106 in the starter set. So if you're looking for them in HC Realms, check right in the Justice League Unlimited set at the bottom there. Wonder Woman comes in at either 100 or 40 points. She is 6 clicks at 100, 3 clicks at 40. And she's got Amazon, Deity, Justice League, Warrior keywords. She's got the Justice League team ability, and she's also got 3 range. She's got this trait, the founding members, which all of them have, and I don't know if it's the same for all of them, but we'll get into that. Founding members, speed +2, but only if your force has 4 or more characters with the Justice League keyword. For all friendly characters that can use this trait, action total +1, but only if your force has 6 or more characters with the Justice League keyword. And then she's got a special attack power, which she has on all but her last click. Magic Lasso, who knew? When Wonder Woman hits with a range attack, until your next turn, a hit target gains a mobile and can't use damage powers. We have some 2 clicks with hypersonic, some leadership in there, some empower. Tom, what are your thoughts on the starter set Wonder Woman either at 100 or at 40?
I think there's stuff to like at both. Whenever I see an opening click like the one at 40, I get excited and always count the clicks, because if you're not outwitting Invincible, will she be guaranteed to survive the first hit? And the answer is no. Absolutely, a hard enough hit will KO her. But all the same, for 40 points, I think that she's a bit of a steal. I love the fact that she's got hypersonic, even with the 3 movement. That's still an 11 swing, even if you're not getting a speed boost out of it. And that's pretty considerable, given that her attack can also lock somebody down and take away their damage powers. And she's adding leadership. In the post-Groot era, leadership is not as easy as 25 points anymore, or 20 points, I guess it was. And some of the most usable keywords in the game. So any source of leadership is something that I'm going to at least stop to take a close look at. And given that she comes coupled with a possibility of an extra action +1, which is pretty restrictive, honestly, at 6 characters with JLU. But I mean, Dr. Fate's got it, I believe, and boy, you can get a lot of them for cheap. Yeah. So there are a lot of ways to get some good utility out of this at 40 points. And again, this is a different era, this post-rotation world, in which you need somebody that's going to be on the map doing the attacks. It's possible that a swarm of small things, if you're dealing with a lot of retaliators, then let her go and try to get some damage done and then leave her to her fate. I don't think she's so bad at 40 points at that point. Otherwise, at 100, she's definitely guaranteed to survive the first hit, and if she gets hit hard enough, she'll go right back onto Invincible. So that's great. And she's not as exciting to me at 100, since she does more or less just a slightly better version of the same thing. I'd rather pay 40 and make better use of the other 60 points, but either way, I think it's worth consideration. Good keywords too.
All right, Mike?
Yeah, pretty much Tom covered all of it. I agree with all that. I would only add in that obviously in terms of that founding members trait, you're even more or less likely to pull that off with her at 100 points, because now you're trying to cram 6 of them onto a team. Again, assuming you're playing a 300 point modern format. So the lower point value has that added benefit if you are trying to accomplish the goal of having 6 or more Justice League characters in your team. But everything else, I totally agree with.
Mm-hmm. One thing that's notable, it's kind of a thing that could happen if you're making use of it. With leadership being what it's about to be in the new game and functioning the way it does, this is a good character to really could stifle your opponent's attacks. Given that both the first clicks do start with hypersonic and would have a 2 range effectively while using hypersonic, you could technically get somebody immobile and lose their leadership to a certain degree. It's one of those like off to the side, think about this possibly, but then a lot of the things that we're looking at that have leadership are kind of included just because they have leadership. Some bigger characters will have big sources of leadership, but I mean, leadership, probability control, outwit, perplex, like I think that's where this character can really kind of help in that, if you can get that 40-point harasser to work it like that. But moving on. Yeah. The Flash. Central City Justice League Speedsters. He's either 100 points or he's 60 points. Founding members trait. It's actually the same for all of them, so I don't have to read through that all the time. And then he's got special movement power everywhere at once. Hypersonic speed. Power. Improved movement. This character can move through squares adjacent to or occupied by opposing characters without stopping. And automatically breaks away even if adjacent to a character that can use plasticity. Move the Flash up to his speed value. Then make a close attack targeting all characters he moved through regardless of adjacency. Instead of normal damage, deal each hit target 1 penetrating damage. Then knock back each hit target 1 square in the direction of your choice. And we got that speed on the first 4 clicks, which is the first 2 clicks of the lower point dial. And then late prob, early perplex, no willpower on this one, or indomitable rather. Mike, thoughts on Flash?
I like this Flash. I mean, I'm obviously way more excited looking at him at 60 points than 100 points. You're only getting 2 more clicks of life for the extra 40 points there. And you do start with a lower attack value, higher other 3 values. So there's a bit of a trade-off there, but I think that the 60-point line is pretty fantastic for the value, especially because you in almost all cases can just ignore that damage value and utilize him as that special movement power. Why wouldn't you want to run around and do a whole bunch of penetrating damage to a bunch of characters? I think that's fantastic. And also putting him on the lower point, you have a better chance of being, again, on a Justice League team, having enough, having 4 guys, +2 to your speed. So you're going to have a 13 speed, 11 attack with precision strike, doing 1 penetrating to a whole bunch of people. That's pretty awesome. This is a pretty good Flash. Good thing he doesn't have Indomitable or Willpower, because I would be exploiting the hell out of this Flash. Maybe 2 of them. Ooh, that'd be fun. But I think he's pretty good. I think there's a lot of value in this guy.
All right, Tom?
Yeah, I think that's well said. I don't know that there's a lot to add. I'll reiterate that the 100-point dial seems almost completely unnecessary. I guess they just wanted to keep the theme of having 100 and something else because there's no reason to play it at 100.
Yeah, pretty much.
It is, on the one hand, I agree that, having Indomitable or something would make him exploitable. On the other hand, the fact that you lose the precision strike if you do push kind of bugs me, since even in a pinch you're really giving up something valuable. But if I'm reading this correctly, and I think I am, his precision strike really wouldn't apply to his run through people power anyway, since it is instead of normal damage and specifies how it works. So unless I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, then tell me so. Otherwise, I think you've got to choose between your penetrating damage or your precision strike damage, and that makes the loss of precision strike maybe a little less painstaking.
Wish Jay was here to clarify, because I feel like because you're making an attack and the attack is the source of the damage, then this would help get past Invincible.
That's what I'm wondering. Is that's specifically what I wondered? Is could you run through invincible characters, or do you have to just attack them the old-fashioned way?
The one time I needed Jay.
Right, I know, because that's what I was wondering the same thing. Because I was thinking of the 2 of them working together.
Either way, I don't have a lot to add. I do think that he's worth it at 60 for sure. Definitely a good play at 60.
If you're attacking more than 1, it's not going to matter because precision strike only works when you're attacking 1 character.
Ah, there we go.
There you go. Still like him.
I guess they covered that.
Hmm.
All right. Next up, Batman. Batman is playable at 100 or 60 points. 5 clicks at 60 and 7 clicks at 100. Batman Family, Detective, Gotham City, Justice League keywords. Batman Ally and Justice League team ability. 4 range with 2 targets. And then he's got the Founding Members trait. And then the Batwing trait, which gives him the wing symbol. And range +2. The first time this game, Batman would take 1 or more damage from an attack. He takes 1 damage instead. And for the rest of this game, can't use this trait. That is also protected pulse wave, which is kind of an important element to that. Remember that old feat card protected, guys? He's got it, sort of, but without the extraction token.
Yeah, even better.
But here's the unfortunate part: is here's the second time in regards to Justice League Unlimited that I have to say, this Batman doesn't have willpower or Indomitable, which hurts my feelings.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
This is a really cool, really neat support character with the perplex, the outwit, and the he effectively 6 range, still has stealth, and then he doesn't take a ton of damage from the first attack that would deal a ton of damage. So like there's a lot that just makes you go, wow, that's really cool. And they got to get past the super sense, they got to get past the stealth. There's a lot to get past on this. It's just that at the 60 points, it's neat, but it doesn't do enough for me to justify him not being able to push. Yeah. So, having the fear of that pushing damage. Unless, of course, there's that mistake and I don't have the figure handy. But yeah, if this character had Indomitable, woof, shadow of a doubt would be really, really awesome. In the meantime, he's just really, really good and really survivable. But you do have to kind of alternate your turns with him, which is a shame. Tom?
Yeah, I agree. He's somehow less exciting at both. I don't know. You're right. Because he's Batman, he feels like he should be Indomitable. Even without the Indomitable, he is decent. And I actually wonder. I'm grappling with whether or not I think he may be worth some consideration at 100. I mean, it's another one where you only get those 2 clicks of life, but you're only taking 1 damage, which means you're landing back on another 18 super senses click. You've got every number is higher at least at his 100-point line. And with an 18 defense printed with Perplex, you can make it 19. You're not going to really get hit from range with your stealth in play, unless people have a way around it, of course. I don't know. I can't quite justify it, but at least I'd consider it.
Mm-hmm. Mike?
Yeah, I feel the same way, Tom. He's the one that I was looking at where I'm like, man, I could see me actually trying to play him at 100, but just like Jay said, I'm grumpy about the fact that he doesn't have willpower and Indomitable. I mean, he should have Indomitable. I don't like seeing willpower on the defense click for Batman unless it's part of a special defense power that includes something else like combat reflexes or toughness or super senses, because Batman shouldn't just have willpower on his defense. Also, that makes me think of Casey, the old Casey Batman with the 15 defense with willpower. Now I'm really bitter and I'm having horrible flashbacks. I've been in my house too much. I mean, he's interesting, he's neat, but yeah, the other thing that at first kind of bugged me was that he didn't have improved movement. Thank God he has the trait that gives him wing symbol for a while, because it reminded me of the thing I hated about the Trinity War Batman. Because you got to put him in stealth, right? He's Batman. You got to put him in hindering, and now he's stuck in. I got running shot, but I can only run like 3 out of hindering, like with the 4 range. What the hell's going on? Anyway, so yeah, like the guy said, he's an interesting Batman. I do look at him more at 100 points just because there's some better values there, but the lack of willpower is it's disconcerting.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have the Green Lantern. Either 100 points or 40 points for him. Green Lantern Corps, Justice League Soldier, 7 range. What else? He's got the Founding Members trait, and then it's a what you see is what you get dial. You go down to 3 clicks with the 40-point dial, or your 6 clicks at 100. Tom, what do you think of the Green Lantern who flies and has Indomitable?
He certainly wants you to stand up and pay attention when you see an 11 attack, 4 damage, running shot, pulse wave. He certainly makes you want that. but I still don't think it's worth it. I just think he's a little glassy,
trap.
even then. It is a trap.
I love
It's
that
a
you
trap.
said that. It's a trap.
You also take one look at him and you say, well, if nothing else, at least he can taxi my team. But no, he can't. They have not given him the team ability that the Green Lanterns do so well, which is sad. However, for 40 points, very good package if you ask me. I love the fact that he's got 7 range, not inconsiderable these days with RCE. That makes me feel a lot better about the fact that if I need swing, I've got 12 swing for penetrating damage, and that's 3 damage. Or if I don't need the swing, I've got 7 range for up to 5 damage, or a 12 and 3, or 11 4. And if I'm not doing any of the above, he still is a taxi for at least one person, and or he can use barrier. And if he doesn't get taken out off the first hit, then he's landing on pulse wave, and he's even got a little bit of regen, which is unlikely you're going to hit it, but those are enough selling points for me to go 40 points. It's a trap at 100.
All right, Mike.
Oh, I love that you said that, because that's exactly what popped in my head the first time I looked at him. It was like, oh, running shot, 11, indomitable. No, not for 100 points. No. He's getting eaten alive. He's totally getting eaten alive, because no one's going to let you do anything with that.
Yeah. They're going to take one look, and they're going to be like, no.
Oh, please, let me move my character into this very easy place for you to pulse wave them. No,
where can I let you pulse wave me, and where can I not let you pulse wave me? And that's where I'm going to be.
Yeah, it's not happening. But 40 points, I'm still hesitant because it's 3 clicks. It feels. I mean, 18, yeah, but it feels so soft at that I'm very resistant to ever give up 40 points that softly. But I do agree with Tom that there is so much potential there, and if you're trying to fill in the space, maybe you got a soldier team you're fiddling with, and you needed a guy who could make barrier to help you out and taxi some people with this bit of a punch. So, yeah, there's a bit of something there.
Yeah, soldiers are really starting to raise my eyebrows again. I'm looking at them; they're not there yet. But
we got Cap and Peggy, right? So,
all right. Next up, Superman. He's playable at 125 or 60 points. He's got the founding members trait, and then he's got the second trait. What we have is a rare opportunity for me to cut loose. Super strength, free. Play Superman adjacent to an opposing character he knocked back at least 1 square this turn, then make a close attack targeting that character. Then he's got a special defense power in his last 2 clicks, and show you how powerful I really am. Stop, invulnerability, super senses. Superman can't be healed. He's got the Justice League team ability.
I'm so powerful I can't be healed. Oh, weird.
Mike, what do you think of Superman?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's funny too, because the thing we've mentioned the most when we've been reviewing figures lately, right, is the whole sort of appropriately costed thing there. And I look at him at 125 points, and again, I'm like, okay, well, that's not so bad. And 12 hypersonic, 12 attack with hypersonic is pretty cool. 4 damage. Can't use the super strength with it, sadly, right? But and those 2 stop clicks at the end, okay,
yeah,
that's pretty good.
Took the joke right out of my mouth.
Yeah, right. Like it's pretty good, but I don't know. I'd rather play Thor at 125. I'd rather play Ultron at any point value. So there's interesting stuff there. I do think, that's pretty cool at 60 points because of the 2 stop clicks. I mean, you're definitely getting a lot of, I know no move and attack power, but still, you definitely are getting a lot of value at 60 points. Also because of the fact that you could potentially be getting 2 attacks off in a turn with this guy, right? Yeah. Because of the fact that having super strength means he's doing knockback when he hits. You don't even have to have an object to be doing that. He's got close combat expert with an 11 attack and 3 base damage. So, 12 and 4 or 11 and 5, hit somebody, and you manage to be, you haven't already sidestepped. You hit him, knock him back, you sidestep over, hit him again. That's pretty juicy. And again, for 60 points, knowing that you can't one hit it, you can't two hit kill him, right? I mean, you hit the first stop click, you hit the second stop click, so that's pretty good when you think about it. So definitely really excited about potential at 60 points, but the 125 point version just feels a little bit too appropriately costed, as it were.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, I think that sums up really nicely. 60 points, I think, is completely boss. When I first looked at him, I wish he had range. Because when I first looked at him, I didn't realize those were stop clicks. And then when I looked more carefully, I was like, wait a second. I think there's a lot of potential there then. Yeah, I mean, he's soaking at least 3 hits. He's got a super senses that can't be outwitted. Your opponents have to work. And if they've got to work that hard for 60 points, I think that you're doing a good thing. If he's on a Justice League team with 4 people, he can basically move 13 with the Justice League plus his sidestep. So he's going 15. So he's going from row 2 to row 17. Like he's coming. And then you're forcing your opponent's hand. They've got to do something about it. I don't mind the fact that he doesn't have the move and attack. I mean, sidestep barely counts. Although, to be fair, he does have the ability to pick up a heavy along the way, and if he wants a little bit of range, he can just sidestep and pitch that heavy at you. Mm-hmm. So he can't even be ignored at that point. And if he really did move to square 17 on the first turn, then he's sidestepping and throwing it at your starting area on the next turn. So, yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential there.
Hey, quick question with that. If you throw an object, does that also then do knockback because of super strength?
Super strength strictly says close attacks.
Okay, that was. I just want to check because that would be pretty gross if you threw the object, knocked the person back, somebody TKs him forward so that he gets base to him again, and then does a free follow-up close attack.
Well, he just gets a placement if he knocked them back, so he doesn't even need to be TK'd. It just place him adjacent and then blast him.
Yeah.
Oh,
because
yeah.
So like, what I wanted to add is.
Oh, I missed that part. The place him adjacent. Oh, I was thinking you had to move to get there. But it's even better.
When this guy works, holy crap, does he start to seem a little undercosted? Because like you were saying, you hypersonic, you do a 12 attack, 4 damage, you knock them back, then you follow up with another attack with 12 attack, 4 damage. Potential for 8 damage on that first click with the hypersonic. So that looks really appealing, but it is still got to be a close attack. You're working with a 12 movement generally, plus so 18 movement with the hypersonic when you include some TK, which you probably will. There's a lot of potential.
I think let me just toss in here that at 125 points, if I felt like I could reliably get the exospecs on him and play a WWE ring, I would absolutely consider it, because then you get slingshot. So you hypersonic in, you blast them, you knock them back even if they've got combat reflexes or charge, then you place next to them and make a free attack, then you slingshot and make another free attack.
Wow, that's pretty good.
So there are combinations that work with the Superman.
Sure.
So there's potential. There's a lot of potential in this Superman.
It's just that the reason that 60 point is just so good is because of the fact that, again, it's such a cheap package that's so hard to just take out immediately. You got to hit him 3 times, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter about the amount of damage. You got to hit him 3 times. It's an unoutwittable super senses, like you mentioned. There's just.
Hey, I'll play him with exospecs at 62.
Well, there you go. Exactly. Exospecs with him at 60. He's a beast now.
Yeah.
That's 72 points. A 72 point Superman that's doing a ton of stuff. Like, why would I bother playing him at 125?
Right, that's true. You just take hypersonic from your exospecs, do the damage, and then when you're close enough, then you can do the slingshot shenanigans.
Yeah, because you're only getting 3 more clicks of life playing him at 125 points. So for 65 more points, you're getting 3 more clicks. Which the fact that he's outwittable, you know what I mean? Like it's like maybe 1 extra hit. Maybe you're paying 65 points for a chance at maybe 1 more hit it takes to kill the Super.
Yeah, totally.
So
anyway, I think he's got potential. Is the point?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's potential, and I think we can all 100% agree he's definitely better than the common.
Yes, he slightly outstrips that common.
It's like night and day. Who is that common Superman? This Superman should go and murder that common Superman. I don't even know.
And I'm going to start on the Martian Manhunter. Mike, you might want to give a camera the quick reset.
Yeah, hold on.
We get the Martian Manhunter. He's playable at 75 or 40 points. 3 clicks at 40, 6 clicks at 100 or at 75 rather. Sorry. He's got Detective, Justice League, and Police keywords. He's got the Founding Members trait, and then he's got the You Have Your Assignments. He's also got Justice League team ability and 5 range. Sorry. You Have Your Assignments is a special damage power in his first 4 clicks. Leadership and Shape Change, which also says power. Choose another friendly character with 0 or 1 action tokens that shares a keyword, and then move them up to half their speed value. And he has that on his first 4 clicks or his first click on his 40-point dial. Mike, you got the lead on Martian Manhunter, right? So it's my turn to lead on Martian Manhunter.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I'm going to say at 40 points, making somebody else who's, shares a keyword, which could be Detective or Justice League or Police in this case, and then they get a free move, if that could be huge. We talked about that Superman a second ago.
I was just about to say.
Half of his movement on the first click, if you're going for the hypersonic move, is 5. And it's their speed value, so if you're playing a Founding Members worthy team, now we've got a 12 movement, which becomes, I think it's half their speed value plus the 2.
I assume 7. It's always replace then modify. So yeah, move 7 and then hypersonic 12.
10. Yeah, or 12, yeah. And then knock you back and they hit you again. There's so much.
Well, he's also got the Justice League TA, so when he takes a move action.
This won't be a move action. You're just going to move the characters. So.
Yeah, so that's 19 from square 2. So yeah, that's 21. That's most of the map. That's also how you go and get those exo specs for free. Is that you take a power action, you send them up there to go and get the specs, and then you equips them.
Yeah. So just absolutely amazing combo potential in the Martian Manhunter. There's so much you can do with him, so long as you can make the keywords work. Now, we know that Justice League is currently going to be very big. There's a lot of options as far as Justice League keyword is. Detective is subtly in there. It's not super great yet. Police is one that's always kind of around and catches you off guard when it works, like Rocket Raccoon, Banshee, and Cerise at one point. It was like, what was that? Some idiot played that.
Yeah, that's okay.
He was pretty bad with it though. That said, this is just a great figure, and I would play him at 40 points just for the fact that I would probably more or less use him for the fact that he has leadership and he protects himself with a shape change, and he's moving your guys when you need them moved. You can take a push with that when you need to really make that action, and then follow that up later with some healing on his regeneration after maybe outwitting something important. Who knows? There's a lot of real good potential in this 40-point dial. There's nothing wrong per se with the 75-point dial, except for the fact that it lacks move and attack, and I'm investing 75 points in this particular dial. I think the 40-point one is the one that really appeals to me. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I agree. It's funny because he is pretty good economy for 75 points. The difference being that if you're paying 75, I would just pay 80 and play 2 of him at 40, and I would get more out of that than I would the single one at 75. So as long as that's true, then it's hard to justify the 75. I think you put it well. Like, you get so much for the 40 that all you get is more at 75. And that's fine, but it's not that exciting. He's never going to be a primary attacker, just by virtue of the fact that he doesn't have willpower, he doesn't have move and attack, and his range isn't considerable enough. He's better at surviving than he is at going forth and conquering. And frankly, I think I'd rather have opening mind control than opening phasing anyway. So I think that all in all, 40 is the call here, not because 75 isn't worth it, but because 75 isn't exciting.
All right, Mike?
Yeah, really. I mean, honestly, 75 feels like you're paying the extra 35 points just because you think he's going to get hit and you want to make sure he stays alive.
Right.
Because the nature of how he's set up, and especially when you look at the 40-point dial, he's really a figure that's staying back. You're using him for leadership. You're using him for that whole power action to take a token off of a friendly character with a keyword. And that's about it. He's staying in the background. He's hoping he gets shape change so he doesn't get nuked with one hit. And like you said, Tom, play 2 of them. I would play 2 of them at 80 points, because for 5 more points, I've got a backup plan if you take the time to go after one. Okay, well, I've got a backup one. So I've still got the leadership and the potential to take the token off. Until you take out one, I can do that twice.
Yeah.
That's friggin' huge. There's no cap on it. It doesn't say once for everybody with this power or anything like that. So
Yeah, and he also doesn't move adjacent characters. He doesn't move adjacent characters. He just moves friendly characters.
yeah,
Two of them send somebody like across the map.
exactly. They can be anywhere on the map when he does it. He
Yeah.
doesn't have to be. You keep them in your starting area, so you pay 80 points to have 2 of them in your starting area, and that's it. And yeah, I can't imagine me ever playing him at 75. I agree with everything that you guys said, that there's a lot of economy there. He has some good values for all of that, but if I'm playing him at 75, it's because I'm thinking I'm playing a team where you're going to get to him easier, and I don't want him to get one hit KO'd. So for that, I would rather play 2. Because then the 2 covers the fact that you're trying to prevent losing the power, but now I have the power twice as much, right? Like, why wouldn't you play 2?
Yeah, and as long as he's staying back, if he's keeping on the move, he's only one further push away from being a support piece too, and not a bad one at that. So
Also, going back to 2, there's no limitation on as long as the character hasn't used this. So you can get 2 movements out of a single character with 2 of them. Like,
totally.
Oh my god!
Absolutely.
What did you do? This is a starter set, guys.
Well, that's it. It's a starter set, so your chances of having 2 of them is obviously way less likely because you're not buying 2 starter sets per se. I mean, we know enough crazy people who will go buy 2.
Stranger things have happened.
Yes. Our group, we're all going to get one eventually, and we'll just be able to borrow one off of somebody.
Now, a few weeks ago on the Meta Lab, somebody asked a question that, like, how would you feel about somebody who basically did the Steve Rogers Welcome to the Avengers, but for Justice League? And now I can tell you, I would feel terrible. I don't want this guy sharing a keyword with Vulture.
No! Oh my god! Martian Manhunter moves Martian Vulture up half the... No! Absolutely not!
So... Oh yeah, 2 Steve Rogers.
Well, yeah, no, it was like if Steve Rogers was had something, or there was something like Steve Rogers for the Justice League. Where it's
yes.
Welcome
Oh
to the
yes,
Justice
that was
League.
it.
Oh!
Because in my head, but the flip side to that is you could always play 2 Steve Rogers.
Yeah, 2 Steve Rogers, Martian Manhunter,
and Vulture.
So that's 190 so far. You're a theme team. You've got 2 perplexes and a free move, and you got plenty of room for more modifiers from there.
Oh my god! Oh, Sharon Carter. You make it a shield team, so that when Sharon Carter uses her perplex on Vulture, he now has outwit.
Well, which Coulson is it that basically just equip the armors for free when you blow him up? Is that 75 points?
No, he's 50 points. So you put him on there too. That's 85 points. So you've still that's 275 points.
Well,
so 2 Steve Rogers is 100.
Yeah.
Martian Manhunter
40 for
that's 190.
Yeah.
35 for Sharon Carter makes it 225. And then who did we just say?
Phil Coulson.
Phil Coulson is 50.
Yeah.
So that's 275.
The arms are 10?
10? Yes, 10.
Yeah.
So 285.
285, so you still got 15 points to spare.
Isn't there like a 15-point shield guy or something?
I think there is, I just can't remember off the top of my head.
Shields.
Anyway.
The guys that Nick Fury makes, right? They're 15 points.
Yeah, like Shield Agent.
What degeneracy have we come up with? The Shield Agent, the 2-click guys.
But that's actually like that's a viable team.
It is a viable team
because there's 3 perplexes on there. You're giving outwit to what's her face.
Of it.
Like I can't believe that team just built itself like that. Like that's crazy. Congratulations to whoever wants to play that.
Bad news to Emily is watching live. She's in the chat.
Oh no, Emily doesn't need help with Vulture teams.
I always thought that Steve Rogers was unique, but if not,
that was it. He isn't. I was thinking the same thing too.
So dumb.
I have many Steve Rogerses. I'm confirming that he's not unique right now. Hold on.
While we're doing that, I think it's time to go into something a little bit more wholesome, and that's Fantastic Four.
Hooray!
Clash Starter Set. I'm super excited for this one too. I think we all know why. So the first figure we're going to look at is Mr. Fantastic. So all of the Fantastic Four come in at either 100 or 75 points, which, they either make in full a 400 or 300 point team. Good job, WizKids. It's been a while since we got that.
Yeah. It's not 305. What a thought.
Oh, great. It's so good. The Fantastic Four, Mr. Fantastic has the Fantastic Four keyword, or team ability. When this character is KO'd, after resolutions, heal 1 click on each other friendly character using this team ability. Just a refresher on what the Fantastic Four team ability is.
Yeah.
It's been a while. He's got Celebrity, Fantastic Four, Illuminati, and Scientist keywords. He ignores Elevated and Hindering from movement. He's got a trait, I'm pretty good at multitasking, which gives him Plasticity and Shape Change. When Mr. Fantastic uses Shape Change, after resolutions, place that D6 with that result on this card, replacing any here. Giant Reach X, where X is 2, or the value of that die on this card, whichever is greater. Then on his last click, he's got We're Gonna Be Fine, Sue. Stop, but only if another friendly character with Fantastic Four keyword is on the map. This also gives him super senses. And then his special damage power, which he has intermittently, first click and a couple in the middle there. On the 75-point dial, it's the first 2 clicks and the last click, which is You'll find Mr. Fantastic more than a match for you every time. Leadership and Outwit. And then free, choose an opposing character of higher points within 4 squares of line of fire and a power, standard or special, they can use. The chosen character can't use that power until your next turn. Tom, I know you're a Mr. Fantastic fan, and it's great that he came to you first. What do you think of Mr. Fantastic?
Well, I mean, I'm viewing it through rose-colored glasses because I think I'm really, really excited to have a Fantastic Four back in the game. That's really great, and I really do like Mr. Fantastic a lot. Do I like this Mr. Fantastic a lot? He's okay. He's not that fantastic. I might. That was actually not intended. Unintentional pun. He is one that I might consider going the extra 25 points for, because if you're already in it for 75, I like the fact that you get a higher defense and a higher attack and a little bit of free move off the top. I think that all goes a long way. It is only 2 clicks, but it's also 25 points. I think it depends a lot on the team you're building. But anyway, I would give it some serious consideration. I think that it's whoever came up with the idea of roll shape change and that becomes your giant reach is brilliant. Just for thematic purposes, I think that's hilarious. I love the idea that your shape change roll somehow represents how much he is deforming, and that thus represents the amount of giant reach he has. That's so fun. So fun.
Very fun.
And that's, I guess, the thing I like about him so much is he does seem like a lot of fun. He has double rollouts. He has 2 outwits, sort of like one's a super outwit, but it's close. One's a regular outwit and it's slightly farther. So, he's countering 2 powers. He's rolling out twice. He's attacking several people with the Quake there in a lot of places, and he has a variable amount of giant reach with plasticity to make him harder to get around, but easy to get around with, especially with that shape change, sidestep. Another reason I like him at 100 particularly, and the fact that he's not being held down by terrain. Add to all of that one of the best team abilities in the game, which has been a long time since we've seen, but I'm really excited to have it back, and the stop click on top of that. There's just enough to make me excited to play him, I think, even if I wasn't a Mr. Fantastic fan. And as a Mr. Fantastic fan, I definitely think he's worth a play.
All right. Mike?
Yeah, I'm pretty stoked for this starter, which will we ever see it? I pre-ordered mine so long ago.
I know.
Oh, we were so close to getting it. Anyway.
Delayed, then everything is delayed.
Oh my god, so painful. But I think obviously I'm always a little more excited for characters with D6 rollouts like shape change and super senses. As you guys know, I've had a great deal of luck with that over the years, more than I've ever had with ever being able to successfully roll 2 dice to hit somebody in this game. So that makes me excited. Like Tom said, there's such a flavor text vibe going on, thematic vibe going on with that whole giant reach shape change roll thing. I think that's brilliant. I love it. This is a real. I think both the jail starter and this starter show a real crafting of a set. When you only have this many figures and you can take the time and really look at the figure and how they are in the comic and how their powers interact or whatever, I think there's definitely a lot of thought to how they've sort of put these figures together, and I'm super excited for it. And he really reads like that was an intentional pun, by the way.
Oh,
he really
yeah.
reads like a
Yeah.
good version of Mr. Fantastic.
Why'd you have to be a dick about it?
I know, right? Because of the whole outwit and then the other
That's
power
a bit of a stretch.
Stuff. Oh, ooh, man, this is devolved, right?
Stop at the foreplay, guys.
Yeah, right. Oh, god damn it! I was trying to think of a Herbie pun, but that's where it stopped. Right? Anyway,
You've been bitten by the love bug.
Yeah. I like him. I think he is more worthwhile. Obviously, it's 75 points because I don't think you really need those extra 2 clicks that you're getting for the extra 25 points because he's really more of a support piece. Sure you don't. I know there's a sidestep, but honestly, that's really all you're kind of giving up for that. And with the stop click, you're less worried about having a slightly shorter dial. You know what I'm saying? So I obviously leaning towards the 75 because you'd be able to get more on the team, and you'll be able to build your actual 300-point Fantastic Four team when you play it at 75 too, right? So, but yeah, I dig him. He's cool. Welcome back, Fantastic Four.
I have dabbled a little with this figure, and I'm going to say this: you haven't lived until you've giant reach quaked with a giant reach of 6. That's all I'm going to say.
Sounds fantastic.
Next up, we have the Invisible Woman. 5 range with 2 targets. Fantastic Four team ability. She's either 100 or 75 points. You lose 2 clicks on the 75 points. So that seems to be the trend. Celebrity, Fantastic Four, Lady Liberators, and Scientist keyword. The team is almost done, guys. The Lady Liberators, right there. Hide and Seek is her trait. Free. Choose one. Until the beginning of your next turn, opposing characters can't target Invisible Woman unless they begin their turn within 3 squares of her, or terrain markers are considered clear for line of fire this turn if Invisible Woman is within 4 squares of them. She has special defense powers throughout the dial. You'd be surprised what lengths I can go when pushed. Barrier, toughness, willpower. When Invisible Woman uses Barrier, after resolutions, you may knock back 2 squares any number of opposing characters adjacent to these markers. Then she's got a special damage power on her last click. Johnny, stay with me. Stop, but only if another friendly character with the Fantastic Four keyword is on the map, which gives her also shape change. What do you think, Mike?
Well, I remember the first time that I looked at this dial and sort of looked at the dial and looked at the powers and saw the stop click. And the instinct is almost always to think of the stop clicks as being on defense. And I was like, what the hell's going on with this Invisible Woman? She's broken. Why does she have somebody stop it? Wait, why does she have a stop click on the first click? Oh, that's when I clued in that I wasn't seeing this correctly. So, yeah, not so strange to not see Invisible Woman correctly. But, yeah, right? It's the hits keep on coming. Especially next, because it'll be the thing, and that'll be clobbering time. Anyway, she's cool. I think I always want to immediately jump to just saying let's look at 75 points because again, I want to build a 300-point Fantastic Four team, and really, again, for the extra 2 clicks, you're just sort of giving up a +1 in attack and a +1 in defense, plus the 2 clicks of life. So it's not the end of the world to give it up for those 25 points. I think it makes more sense when building in the competitive environment. That trait I think is great. You could do a lot with that. And again, in an age of equipping, there's a lot of different things you could put on this Invisible Woman to both exploit that whole advantage of hers of basically not being able to deal with her and move her up the map and mess with people. She definitely is a good support character for her team with the TK with support, top dial on both versions, right? 75 points starts with that too. Yeah. So clearly a support piece that you're leaving in the back. And I dig the stop clicks. I mean, she's got a lot of shape change there along the way. Good representation.
All right, Tom?
Yeah, great representation. Look at all the 19s.
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome? 319 defenses in 7 clicks.
Her lowest defense is 18.
Yeah. When's the last time you've seen something like that? And that's great. This dial feels a lot like Sue Storm to me. And what a monster of a support piece she is with TK barrier and actual support. Boy, that's good. And she's a taxi, and she's a sidestepping taxi. So she's basically a sidestepping taxi who can also TK. She can put up barriers. She can make things, make opposing, or she can make terrain markers invisible, and she can support people back up. That is a great package. If you've got to spend a fair number of points for an almost exclusively support piece, this is the way you want to do it. And she can crack invulnerability on the top dials of both of her starting lines. So with all that, you add a stop click, you add the best team ability in the world. I really think that there's a lot to like about this Invisible Woman. I don't have a lot to add to what Mike said. I just think that I will say the same things with even more enthusiasm.
Yeah. Also, it's a minor thing, but it's a great thing because of her last click, stop click being on damage. Finn Balor doesn't step on her throat. So
yeah,
it's one of those nice things. It doesn't come up often, but it's not going to stop the stop.
I will say, at 100, although I think Mike is right that 100 points is it's hard to justify the 25-point step. If you're not deploying a team super fast, you do have the option of just pushing her at 100 points onto a 19 defend, and I love a 19 defend. Yeah. I love a Sue Storm with a big defend. So it's a good memories of olden days.
Oh man, the old days.
Fantastic Forces feat card. Oh yeah.
Right.
All right. Next up, it's clobbering time with the Thing. Fantastic Four team ability. Celebrity Fantastic Four Guardians of the Galaxy keywords. 75 or 100 points on this one. His trait, it's clobbering time. Power, if no other friendly character has been placed this turn, choose an opposing character that is within 4 squares of a friendly character with the Fantastic Four keyword that was attacked since your last turn. Place the Thing such that he can make a close attack targeting the chosen character, then do so. If he hits with this attack and his attack roll is 10 plus, after resolutions, remove an action token from him. He's got special movement. Sometimes you gotta break stuff. Charge, improved movement. This character can move through blocking terrain. Immediately after movement resolves, destroy all blocking terrain move through. I don't know why I keep reading that out. And the last click, he's got a special defense power. Ain't feeling so good, Stretcho. Stop, but only if another friendly character with a Fantastic Four keyword is on the map. This also comes with invulnerability. If you pay 75, you lose the first 2 clicks, which is the trend. Thing is, this is the thing. This is as thing as the Thing gets. And honestly, a Colossal Retaliation like ability is also super appropriate for the Thing. Though that first Fantastic Four movie was not the greatest thing in the world, the one with Jessica Alba, there is a scene that really exemplifies this, and it's everybody's in trouble, and then the Thing comes crashing through the wall to beat up Dr. Doom. It's the most thing that ever thing. And that's really everything about this guy. The unfortunate fact is, of course, we see characters with close combat that can get shot, and then we remember the WWE, and we're a little turned off by it. That said, he's not bad, but there's a lot that the Thing does that other characters at his point value just do better in a combat situation. So unfortunately, I kind of see him as the low point of the starter set, but it's not that he's a bad character or like a terrible character. He's as thing as the Thing things, but that's not a super exciting, super finessey character. This is a brute force, close combat focused dude that just doesn't survive well in the range. So you do kind of have to force a map on him. And unfortunately, he works with a lot of guys that work better in more open spaces than he does. So what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, well, I think that in short, the only real instance you'd ever use this piece is on a Fantastic Four keyword team specifically. Like, if you lost that clobbering time trait, I don't think he's at all worth his points. And with it, it's only barely so. He's very outwittable. His defenses aren't great. Could definitely use that 19 defend. And And I kind of wish he had 4 damage to start with at 75. I mean, 3 damage on the thing seems a little low to me, even if it is his lower point value, and without some kind of flurry or anything else. I mean, yes, he's got super strength, but I don't know. It's just not enough for me to trust it. You got to hope that it's working. It's cool that the Fantastic Four get a sort of a quasi retaliation effect in a certain circumstance. I really wish that there was a 50-point line for this piece so that you could have that, since 75 is a lot to pay for that alone, and I don't think you're getting enough other value out of it. So I agree. I think he's the low point of the starter. He has a place on some Fantastic Four teams as a fringe piece, and I don't think he has a place much anywhere else. I don't know. Do you disagree, Mike?
No, I just make sure I didn't mute myself. Yeah, just I totally agree. The only thing I want to give him a little bit of a sort of a bit of love, benefit of the doubt is the trait. The trait actually sort of makes him stay alive better than a normal brute would, because of the fact that he doesn't have to be within range of any of the people. He can be anywhere on the map when he takes the power action to then be placed to be able to do the attack. So I think you almost have to play him using its clobbering time as his main means of attack, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, you pretty much want to put Mr. Fantastic forward.
Or
Because
Johnny.
he's got all the... Yeah, because they're the ones who are
It's
going to
always
get attacked. Mr. Fantastic... Well, I look at Mr. Fantastic because of the rollouts, right? Because it just says if they're attacked. So ignoring, obviously, shape change means you're not attacked. But if he rolls his super senses, that's your best case scenario. So he got attacked. He rolls super senses. He doesn't get hurt. Now the thing activates his trait and comes over. Because everything you said is correct. He's a typical brute. He's going to get picked off at range. The stop click at least means he's not going to get one hit killed. But he's so easily dealt with. His values aren't that high, especially past those first 2 clicks. If you are playing at 75 points, he's so easy to hit. He's so easy to outwit. So you kind of have to utilize that trait way more in his situation to sort of keep him alive. So I will say that because of the trait, it does make him a slightly better brute when you compare him to other brutes. But just like Tom said, you can't play this guy on anything other than a Fantastic Four theme team, unless you're just playing for fun, because there's just nothing come to the table other than that.
On the plus side, there is a Fantastic Four focus set ahead, so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally.
There'll be that to play with, yes.
But there are outside scenarios in which I might give some distant consideration to playing either Reed or Sue on a non-Fantastic Four team. Like, they're way better on a Fantastic Four team, but there's maybe a possibility, especially if some powers start coming along where that whole like outwit that ignores protected outwit thing becomes really useful, or pushing onto a 19 defend with all those defense powers really is feasible. But the thing, it's just, there's no circumstance that I can imagine it.
Yeah. All right, next up, the Human Torch. 7 range, 2 targets, Fantastic Four team ability, 100 or 75 points.
Did you see that Norm Macdonald bit? It's an audio bit, but it's a Norm Macdonald, the origin of the Fantastic Four, in which the whole thing is basically just Reed giving out everyone's names that are supposedly all based on their powers, except for himself. It's like, you are human, yet a torch. You'll be the Human Torch. And I can stretch my body like a rubber band. I will be Mr. Fantastic. Okay, let's get to business. It's pretty funny.
That's good.
It's worth checking out if you haven't heard.
All right. So Human Torch, 175 points. Celebrity Fantastic Four. Herald, Inhumans, Spider-Man family keywords. Herald, we haven't seen that one in for what, a while.
Yeah, I forgot he even was one.
Yeah. It's a generic now, even. Ignores characters for movement. Flame Trail is his trait. Once per turn for all characters with this trait. When Human Torch moves after resolutions, choose a character he moved through or adjacent to and deal it 1 penetrating damage. And then he's got a special damage or special attack power intermittent through the dial. Flame On, poison, but may use it even if moved or placed this turn. And then his special defense power, Ben, where are you? Stop, but only if another friendly character with the Fantastic Four keyword is on the map. This also has an energy shield. Tom, what do you think of the Human Torch?
My God, do I love him. I think he's fantastic. And again, I keep using that. But, what can you say about this guy? I mean, he's glass jawed, and he goes down very quickly.
Glass cannon is the definition right here.
Yes, he is a glass cannon, but he's the Human Torch. He should be a glass cannon. Every comic I've ever read with them in it suggests to me that this is the way that the Human Torch should be represented, so I'm not knocking it. Oh man, I really want to get on to Click 2 or Click 4, hypersonic in, blast somebody, deal them a penetrating damage, then poison them. Oh God, so good. But I don't necessarily want to get onto those clicks because I also like having 7 range with RCE on a 3 damage with either a 12 or 11 attack. That's pretty considerable. And then you add to the fact that he's got a 12 unassisted swing all of his own, and he can move through characters. So there's a whole lot to like about this guy. But yeah, he's a glass cannon. Absolutely. Yeah. He is the one that's, like I said earlier, like to me, he is the one who's definitely activating the thing because you know, your opponent may or may not choose to bother with Mr. Fantastic, but they can't leave this guy alone. The fact that he ignores characters for movement, it's amazing how much difference that makes, because it takes away the one thing that you generally think you can do against a glass cannon flyer like this, which is lock them down with a big bully. But nope. He can do whatever he wants, so you got to deal with him, and then you got to deal with the thing. And if they haven't taken you out, then Reed's there to take away all your powers, and Sue's there to heal them back up again. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to like about this Human Torch.
Mike?
Yeah, pretty much nailed it. All the power, super soft, but at least he's got a stop click, so you can't just totally take him out. And what a great stop click to end up on for this glass cannon, right? Oh, okay, right. Fine. You hit me all the way down here. I'll just pulse wave you for 3. I don't mind. Right, hey, Sue, come over here and use support on me.
Right.
It's good
times. See what I did to that guy? Now heal me.
I will say this. I look at him and I don't actually play really in any of those big Golden Age events, but imagine him with a Possessor.
Oh yeah.
To basically just get that defense power that you need. Yep. That this guy is gross. This guy's so insanely gross. Yeah.
Well, and again, when he's standing next to Sue Storm's 19 defend after you push to it, then he's a 21 from range. So.
Yep. Oh yeah. There's all kinds of good stuff going on with this guy. I feel much like Tom though, in that I wish the second and first click and the fourth and third click were swapped. Like, I wish he kind of started. I think he makes more sense. He starts with running shot. It is more sort of thematic. Oh man, I so wish he had that hypersonic and special attack power to start on either of his starting lines. That would have been pretty sick.
One thing worth noting, there's a lot of cool timing about the Human Torch. Even in close, he's a ranged character who can fight in close quarters, which is important because so many characters, they're range focused, and then you get next to him and it's like, well, I suck now. This is a character who's like, I don't care, I'm moving out of here. I'm tired of this nonsense.
Yeah, you can't lock him down.
Right? And if you try to lock him down, then he walks through you to running shot, shoot you on his way out. And it gives you that feel of what the Human Torch does, where he zips through people and zaps them with his fire, and you kind of get that feel for him. If you could consistently get action tokens off of him too, like with leadership or some way. I think the Shazam. I don't know if he's going. No, not Shazam. Power Woman. I don't know. Something took characters action tokens away, but it's gone, long gone.
I can't remember.
Anyway, the important thing is that, my God, he can deal a ton of damage.
Oh,
and
totally.
What I wanted to go on is the timing on the flame trail. If let's say you running shot, make an attack, and put a guy onto the stop click. Well, now the action's resolved. Deal that penetrating damage. That's kind of also very awesome, because there's so many characters. It's like, okay, well, I got invulnerability or impervious or just a stop click in this one really obnoxious point. And the Human Torch is like, that's cool. It's gone now because of action timing. So overall, there's so much that works about this character, and the fact that he's a glass cannon, like, I just want to cover him in so much bubble wrap just to be able to use him. So I hope I get a lot of bubble wrap in that Fantastic Four set in the future.
I will also add in the nice thing about these first 4 characters too is the celebrity keyword. Mm-hmm. Obviously, as we already mentioned with Thing, you're probably not playing him on anything other than a Fantastic Four team. But the other 3, they pair up well with certain combinations of WWE figures. There's a lot of stuff there. I think Mr. Fantastic is actually a great addition to a WWE team because he's bringing that leadership, he's bringing that outwit, and he can sort of get up there and be part of that team. So I'm really excited for the 4 figures for that as well. That there's some nice synergy potential there.
They will all be great members of the corporation.
Absolutely.
All right. I don't get to start on this one, but I get to talk about him. Oh boy, have I been waiting for this guy. Dr. Doom. 7 range with 3 targets. He's playable at 300, 200, or 100 points. He's got the Minions of Doom team ability, which has now been changed. The Minions of Doom team ability now reads, when this character KOs a standard opposing character after resolution, heal 1 click on a friendly character using this team ability. He's got the Armor, Cabal, Cosmic, Latveria, Mystical, Politician, Ruler, and Scientist keywords. His trait, only Doom is fit to rule. Leadership, but instead removes the action token from himself. When Dr. Doom uses it and succeeds, until your next turn, he has improved movement, or improved targeting, hindering, and protected mind control and outwit. Other powers and abilities can't remove action tokens from Dr. Doom. He's got a special attack power, which he has, I believe it's the first click of all 3-point values. Which is Photon Array, Energy Explosion. When Dr. Doom hits with a range attack, after resolutions, give each hit character an action token. If you can't, deal that character 1 penetrating damage. Special defense power intermittently throughout the dial, which is Stop. Toughness. When Dr. Doom is targeted by an attack, you may choose a standard defense power that you haven't chosen this turn. Dr. Doom can use that power for this attack. And then he's got a special damage power. Few men are as subtle as Dr. Doom. Outwit, then free. Choose an opposing character of lower points within 4 squares in line of fire, and a power, standard or special, they can use. The chosen character can't use that power until your next turn. Mike.
Are you sure? Are you sure you shouldn't just go for? I mean,
do we know how much I'm gonna like? We know. So let's.
I think we know what you
everybody
feel.
else
Yeah.
talk first.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to be fair because I know how much you love the
We
Doom.
know how I'm gonna react to this. So.
I will say that there have been very few times in the game of Heroclix that I have really genuinely considered playing a 1-figure, 1-man army team competitively, and this Doom would be it. Especially having seen that Latveria map, I think this is some kind of Doom. He's pretty amazing. All the point values have potential to them because he's got to move and attack on all of them. He starts with that special energy explosion attack power, which is just it's friggin' gross. He's got stop clicks on the second click of all of his starting lines. So every first hit on him is doing a max of 1 damage. Man, there's just so much going on with this guy. It's great values. That stop click power is so crazy. I mean, it's like, oh, toughness. Oh, wait a minute. I can pick any standard defense power I want. Like, it's just so much there. Wow. I feel like I can't say anything about him because there's just so much great stuff there. It just seems obvious, all the great stuff there. Like, look at it. His outwit power, getting like everything is so good on this Doom. This is the best Doom they've ever made. This is finally, Jay, you finally got the Doom that you deserve.
Tom?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add. And I think Mike actually kind of tapped into something that I've been thinking as I've been looking at this Doom, not just now, but ever since we was first released, which is there's so much going on that it's hard to know what to say about it. It is certainly a beastly piece. It comes packaged in this, and as it perhaps should be, it comes packaged in the same like blister pack as the best possible counter to him, as it probably should be, because I see that stop click being outwitted before he's even hit it by Mr. Fantastic, not outwit, and then him just getting blasted through his dial. But I mean, if you're not looking at that specific thing, then like what a beast to have to get through. And he is playable at all of his point values, which really says something. I do think 300 and 100 are the ones that are most attractive to me. I don't think there's enough of a difference at 200 to really win me over. But I do think that, you do get the extra stop click and everything from it, and you get slightly better values. But I mean, the point being, I too, like Mike, would seriously consider playing him at 300 points with his own map bonus, or playing him at 100 points. He gets an awful lot of mileage with just a boatload of keywords. So extremely playable, and extremely good, and extremely useful. And just the sort of thing where there is so much going on, it's very hard to know what else to really say about him. But I am excited for him. Yeah. I can't say anything bad.
I am kind of willing to marry this figure. It's a great Doctor Doom, and it has actually shifted me to a one-man army consideration for a while. Until the Fantastic Four set comes out, I am vowing to myself that Doctor Doom is going to be my mascot. Not necessarily like as a character. It could be just somebody wearing Doctor Doom's outfit, which we know is coming, up for consideration. And this figure, until it happens, I'm going to play at least one tournament with him at 300 points. I have tried him out at 300 points, and when these guys describe he's so much going on, that barely touches the tip. That's barely tip of the iceberg. Because that photon array, what's really great about it, beyond the fact that it's energy explosion, the second part doesn't require the energy explosion to be used, and it's when he hits with a range attack after resolution is give each character
it just happens.
You don't have to deal damage to all the characters with that 5. So on that first click with 12 attack, 3 targets, 5 damage can go to 1 target. Everybody's getting action tokens. That kind of helps mitigate that. Oh my god, I've got a 300 point figure on the team. Well, I can slow down my opponent while still trying to play the game. This guy plays like a team on his own. His leadership, when it works, is great. And there's a map that helps with it. We're probably going to spend more time on that next week. I think next week we're going to go full cartography and talk about all the maps in these starters, just to spread out the content. But yes, I am devoted to this Doom. Also worth noting, if you're on your stop click and you kill something, you're off that stop click because you're healing with that minions of Doom team ability.
Well, what's funny too about the photon array powers, what's even better about it is it gets better for him as the game goes on. Because of the fact that after the first turn, your opponent is more likely to have tokens on his guys, more likely to have 2 tokens on a guy. So now when he's targeting multiple characters and not dealing any damage to those characters, he will get to do the penetrating damage through. So yeah, he's a really genuinely viable one-man army character who's not easily outwittable except for with Reed, and he can it's crazy.
Heck, at 100 points, he and Reed are the starting of a pretty good scientist team, if you ask me. That is a lot of shutting stuff down.
Yeah,
totally.
You don't get a power. You don't get a power.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty gross.
And to wrap up the physical figures on this starter set, we have the Silver Surfer, who's also playable at 300, 200, or 100 points. He ignores characters. He's got the Defenders and Power Cosmic team abilities. He's got 8 range, single target. Annihilators, Cosmic, Defenders, and Herald keyword. I swear I say the Herald keyword and I think of a guy named Harold.
Yeah, totally. Me too.
Every time.
Absolutely.
Ignores characters for movement. Special trait, Behold the Power Cosmic. Free. Choose a standard attack power. Until your next turn, Silver Surfer can use the chosen power, and characters he hits can't use the chosen power.
This piece is so insane.
The special movement, the Surfer soars, hypersonic speed. When Silver Surfer uses it, he may be given a range action at no cost instead of making an attack.
You shut up.
Just what we need in the world.
Oh, God, I love this piece so
Special
much.
damage power, tracking the subatomic across space. Free. Choose an improved targeting ability, except improved targeting blocking, to use until your next turn. He may choose improved targeting once per range attack. This character can draw a line of fire through one piece of blocking terrain immediately after, so you can go through one piece of blocking. Okay, so why is it the one-man armies are now coming in starter sets?
Together. Together in the same set.
Is it not enough?
Is Cosmic not good enough?
17 swing hypersonic pulse wave for 5 damage with 12 attack through a wall.
Yeah, that's hot stuff.
I mean, wouldn't it still be a 2-range pulse wave because you're half range with the hypersonic, then you half range again with the pulse wave?
Okay, fine.
So it's
15 range.
Sorry,
That much easier to single target.
15. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. I take it back.
Yeah.
He's
worth
bad.
the,
Forget it.
He's not worth the plastic he's printed on.
It's nuts. It's just totally nuts.
Or
Plus,
just-
he ignores characters. What are you ever supposed to do with this guy? Like, you don't want to base him. Okay, I base you. Okay, great. I'm gonna pulse wave you and run away.
I think I lean 100 on this guy a little bit just because there's not as much protection on him with Doctor Doom, and I don't want to fully commit to him. But I mean, he's playable at all his dials.
Yeah,
totally.
Like completely playable. And does that guy have stealth? That's a shame. I don't care.
Right?
Yeah, he's. It's gross, man. It's so over the top, and again, like any point value you can justify, any of them. There's so much fun. Like the 300 point could run roughshod over somebody. The 200 point with Cosmic out there, come on. There's a couple of Dark Phoenixes, 3 Dark Phoenixes in him. I'll just play that. You know, like come on.
Yeah, and he's always got Steel Energy as an option if he needs some other passive healing. Like, it's true that he doesn't have the stop clicks and he's only got the 1 regen, but he at least does have another source of healing out there, just by being able to choose it.
And I'm going to tap Jay for a second. Hey, he's got Defender's team ability with really good defenses, guys.
Yeah, 19 and Defenders, crazy.
Oh. Yeah, so they did really good with the bad guys in this set. They really captured that, oh my god, the Fantastic Four are some of the toughest villains in the game.
Well, I would argue that Silver Surfer's a villain. He's really not.
I think he's supposed to be representative of a villain type guy in this particular one. Yes, I don't see the Silver Surfer as a villain. When he's a herald of Galactus, he's just heralding some bad stuff coming. So,
yes, but the fact that he has Annihilators and Defenders means that it's the overall Silver Surfer.
It's the full
Silver Surfer
history of the Surfer.
Yeah, it's a full Silver Surfer history. Yeah. He should be badass. I mean, he had the power Cosmic.
He's unbelievable.
When you really read comics with Silver Surfer and he shows up, it's 9 times out of 10 he shows up and everybody just goes, Jesus.
Yeah. Honestly, at this point, I think even in the game of Heroclix, I think we finally hit peak Silver Surfer. There's been some pretty solid Silver Surfers. This is Silver Surfer right here.
Yeah, here's another guy that just seems like he'd be awesome with Exospecs.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing.
What is Exospecs? Because he gets to choose a standard attack power.
Well, because he could just do more.
Yeah, they're moved.
That's what I mean. Like he already kind of
then another.
Yes, I don't have enough.
I would play him at 200 points with the Remaker ring and 3 Dark Phoenixes. Or maybe 2 Dark Phoenixes and the Rachel Phoenix, so I have some TK.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, I would still, I still like the idea of putting Exospecs on him, and again getting a WWE ring in there so that he can slingshot with it too, so that he can go out, blast somebody, knock him back towards himself, and then attack him a second time. God, I love it so much.
All right.
So good.
So now we move into non-figure characters. We have a couple bystanders that will be playable in the set. It should be a quick go-through. We have the Ansi gang, Underworld, team ability. Guys, they got to give them keywords. 15 points, sidestep, precision strike, empower. It's... Yeah. I mean, it's empower for 15 points if you're playing that kind of team.
Yeah, I mean, like he doesn't break theme, and you get empower, and they move around the board. Great.
Yeah. We have the Ansi Pickpocket, who's got Outwit for 20 points, and the Underworld team ability.
Wit, doesn't he?
Yeah, Outwit. That's what I said. Outwit.
Yeah. Okay. Points. Yeah. Okay. I missed that. Yeah, a bit steep, but it was great.
Yeah. We have the Doombot for 25 points that has the Minions of Doom team ability, 6 range, 8 movement with running shot, 10 attack with precision strike, 18 defense with toughness, and 2 damage with shape change for 25 points.
Acceptable.
Well, see, now that's actually what I'm more excited about. That is the fact that it has the Minions of Doom team ability.
Yeah.
Because the way the Minions of Doom team ability reads now, if the Doombot KOs somebody, some other Minion of Doom person on my team can heal.
That's right.
So you can have a bunch of these guys, Indomitable as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, running shot shape change with precision strike in 10 is pretty good, which means you're more than likely going to get a 1, so or get 1 damage in there in some way. So there's some real value to these guys, obviously on a team with other Minions of Doom.
Minions of Doom is still wildcardable.
For sure.
So we might have the potential for wildcard abuse in this case, because we haven't said that phrase in a long time because it hasn't really been viable. But the idea of a team with wildcards, with the Doombots there, the Doombots can kill something, the wildcards can now heal off of it. And, they don't break theme. As a result, they can be on a lot of teams without... So if you can build a wildcard theme team, all of a sudden we actually have a couple sources of wildcard team abilities that are fully functional in both the Yancey gangs and the Doombots that can add some potential if you can put together the team that works for this. So.
Totally.
Yeah. And then we have the Latverian Engineer, Minions of Doom team ability, 6 range, 20 points. This guy's not killing anything necessarily. He's got 4 movement with sidestep, 15 defense with defend, Latverian tech, perplex and support, but only to target characters with the armor, robot, or Latveria keywords. So,
well, that again, the combination of that with the Minions of Doom thing, a robot team. They're a nice filler on some robot teams.
Yeah.
The last thing that we need is like ways of healing robots, like healing like the constructs and stuff.
Well, just pair him with an Ultron, right? I mean, you got 150 point chase Ultron. Put 2 of these guys on. That's still 200 points. Still got another 100 points to build with.
Yeah, he's making your Tri-Sentinels into a 21 defense from range.
Yep.
He's healing your Construct Magneto.
Mm-hmm. I do believe the constructs can't be healed for some reason. I have it in my head.
Well, I can look real quick there while you guys keep talking.
Because I feel like they at least nailed that one.
Magneto.
I hope so, but
can't be healed or chosen for Mastermind.
There you go.
Good. Still usable though. Like there are lots of good robots. So
yeah, right. It's good. It's like you said. It doesn't break theme, so that's nice to begin with. But they're only 20 points. They're good filler. They'll go on a robot team with the defend. It makes it that much easier to actually be able to heal these robots. And perplex is always good.
Yeah,
a couple of them and a couple of Tri-Sentinels, and you're already kicking ass.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to next week when we do a little bit of cartography, because there's 4 maps in each of these, so a total of 8 maps to look at.
That's a lot to talk about.
There's a lot to talk about.
Especially the way we got on.
Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about next week. But overall, there's been a massive improvement in starter set quality just in these 2 sets alone, I think. Because
I would agree.
If we go to the past couple starter sets, we spent... I remember Star Trek, I think my eyes rolled back in my head so far that people thought I was dead while we were talking about that. Because it's just... Yeah, okay, it's... let's try to talk nice about it.
Yeah, and we can remember the days not too long ago when starter sets would include a thing you needed to get the starter set for, whether it was Henry the Monkey or the Dr. Fate helmet or whatever it was and stuff. But
or Atomica.
Nice to have... Yeah, Atomica, etc. Yeah.
No, these are really well crafted, well thought out sets. The presentation is nicer. I think especially in the Fantastic Four one, it looks like a really beautiful overall sort of concept with the pogs, with the sort of scenario play and stuff. I'm very happy that it looks like a lot more thought and care went into it, and maybe even I would say from a player standpoint, I feel like it feels like there was a lot more player input given in as these things were designed and crafted.
Mm-hmm. All right. That said, is there anything else you want to add, Tom?
No, I'm good.
All right,
Good
Mike.
conversation.
I miss HeroClix so much.
So much. Yeah. Especially I know, and I feel like Mike, that there's a tactileness to the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm a real, 3D. I work in props, right? I deal with things, and I like seeing things. And there's a visual that got me into Clix, and I'm really missing that visual right now.
Yeah. So that said, before we move into questions, I do want to announce. So May 1st is the last month that we're not going to be running the Patreon. So come June 1st, we're actually going to move to the new model on the Patreon, where like when you pay on the first of the month, that means you are a patron for that month. So starting June 1st, if you are a patron as of June 1st, you will be a patron of the Married with Clicks channel starting in June. We're going to get that back ramped up. Things are slowly starting to come back together. So as people are kind of moving back into work, if you aren't moved into work and you have financial issues, please do not be a patron. Be responsible. But we are getting the Patreon back to life. We're going to try to make a couple changes to it. I do want to apologize ahead of time. There is some content that we have sitting on the camera that we haven't moved to the channel. And one of the biggest challenges I've run into is because I work from home now, my desk is my office. So moving back to my desk to do more work for the channel feels hard. It's hard to, like, unless I'm coming here to kill demons, I don't want to be at this desk. So, sorry. We're going to get back into the flow of things in June, I promise. But we're just... give us this last little leg to just kind of get everything in their heads. That said, check us out, patreon.com/MarriedWithClicks. Come June 1st, we'll be back in action. I want to open up the floor to our questions. There's a couple out there, and I realized I shut down Discord on my computer because it was being annoying one night. But first we'll move on to Facebook, and Michael Fedor, the Alpha patron, who I hope can be able to continue, says, "Hey guys, welcome back. Long live and prosper. Live long and prosper." Cute because it's May the 4th.
You're dead to me. You're dead to me.
Who is the logical 50-point Starfleet sideline call-in for Captain Picard's title character call-in transport trait? Tom, what do you think?
Well, off the top of my head, I'm gonna have to check.
When was the last time we looked at this?
Well, if memory serves correctly, his transport call-in, do they actually become part of the Force altogether, or is it once they take damage they get removed? That's the part I'm trying to remember.
I'm actually pulling him up right now. So
yeah, let's take a quick look.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Like instinctively, I want to say Data because you get an outwit there, or you can choose a prob if you prefer that one, and that's always useful to come in with, and he does enough damage to be worth it. I doubt you can bring them in and replace them, but if you can, then so much the better. Yeah, what is it? Pay them, yada yada yada. Starting line, a force can only have example for a 49 character. Oh, it just says choose a character in your sideline, and place them on their starting line and occupied a square within 6 squares in line of fire. So unless I'm reading it wrong, then I don't see why you couldn't replace them. In which case, I think Data would have to be the one because you get to call like he's better than Worf's 60 anyway. So. You call in Data, and you should be able to get the shifting focus effect out of them. And 3 Datas are worth their weight in gold. So unless I'm getting that wrong, and for some reason he couldn't be replaced or something, but I usually if there's a thing where a character can't be replaced, then they would say something about it. So unless I'm completely missing it, or I'm missing an obscure rule that Jay can tell us about another time, I'm going to go with Data.
Yeah, Data is a reasonable call. I mean, pre-rotation, Captain Kirk.
Yeah, the shirtless Kirk,
shirtless
right?
Kirk would be a pretty good call.
Shirtless Kirk.
Shirtless Kirk. I'm on the same team there as Data. Would it be? I'm just thinking of the wackiness of it. How many points is the Riker that brings in Thomas Riker?
Well, he's too many.
Is he 60?
I think actually in the starter set there may be
something like that, right? So.
Yeah, he Michael did mention 50 points or less, but if we're willing to go higher, I mean, I think that the Riker from the starter has a line that is lower points, if memory serves correctly.
He's 50 points.
I was more or less
lower starting. Yeah,
looking for that bring in Riker with Riker. It's figure 13. Thomas Riker, Commander William T. Riker is placed with telekinesis.
Sorry, my internet cut out. No. Thomas is the one who has the sideline active power.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter which Riker you bring.
So what I was thinking is, bring in any Riker, and then TK him, and then Thomas Riker. So you get like double your value out of the whole situation. So I think the cheapest one, you're right, is the starter set one.
I have one other comment too, but let's go to Mike first.
Oh, I got nothing to add to this. This is Star Trek stuff. So
I was going to say, if you've got room on your sideline, keep Beverly Crusher as an option because you never know when you might need support, and you're not always going to have it on map.
And Picard gets lonely sometimes out in space.
Well, there's that too.
All right, so we move to Andrew Fairweather. So he wants to know why don't you two play Roll20? I believe he's talking about me and Amber. We live in the same house. That's why we don't play Roll20. Honestly, we've played Roll20 a couple times at the end of the Meta Lab. It does drag for time, and it's hard to watch sometimes. So, I mean, we might, if opportunity presents itself and we decide, you know what, we should do some more games once we start getting into June, and we might still not be able to get out there for tournaments, we'll start considering, hey, maybe throw a game on Roll20 and just have two of us play separate of the Meta Lab. I don't want the Meta Lab to be like a 3-hour affair on a regular week. Last week was already hard enough as it was. So kudos to all the people who watched all 3 hours of that. Holy smokes, you guys are heroes. They also got to watch the 3 stages of my acceptance of the Wonder Twins. There's denial, then wonder, and then acceptance. It was like, wait, I had to go back 2 figures later. I was like, okay, hold on a second.
Somebody played a team on the weekend in the post rotation Winamap, which was the Red Skull chase. The one that comes with the Cosmic Cube, but he didn't have a Cosmic Cube, along with 2 Wesley Crushers and 2 Wonder Twins. And the whole point was basically roll leadership, because if you succeed at leadership, you can remove a token from anyone on the map and then mind control them for free. So basically, the 2 Wesley Crushers give you a reroll. They're instant crushers. They give you a reroll in your leadership. So you got 3 chances to hit the leadership to try to mind control somebody. You've got triple perplex. So you got a 15 attack on the mind control, and then you've got the Wonder Twins cycling through barriers to protect the team, so that you basically just make your opponent's team fight itself. It was nuts. Nuts. It was broken. I narrowly beat it because of the fact that I had super defend on everybody. Red Skull would still hit his mind control, but the mind control person could never actually get the hit on me. And then I had an Iron Avengers map bonus, and so I would just generate Iron Avengers and throw them over. I won 25-0. It was a silly game. We both stayed in our starting areas the whole game.
Best kind of Heroclix ever. So yeah, I mean, Roll20 is what it is. I have a hard time with it myself, just for tactile feel on it. And like I was saying earlier, it's hard to motivate me to get in front of this thing again, because it's where I work. So, there was a couple questions in Discord. Just give me a second to get that up right now. Discord, bam. All right. Okay, so Dave C points out that Jay has been kicking his butt online. So yes, as we said, Jay is
that's most people.
I mean, don't feel bad. Jay kicks a lot of butts. Jay is better than he gives himself credit for. Question: is that starter Superman even better with Mystics? The episode team up Superman, Green Lantern, Dr. Fate, Amazo, Vixen. If one or more listed characters are on the map, Hawkgirl and listed character have the Mystics team ability. Well, I'm already done listening to that.
Well, I mean, any character you need to hit 3 times to KO at an absolute minimum is probably better with Mystics.
When an opposing character takes damage from Mystics, remove an action token from a friendly character. I mean,
the only reason I would say that potentially it's a no, it's depending on what you face, right? Because if you face off against a team that's got a couple of Colossal retaliating Tri-Sentinels, then you don't really want to give Mystics to that Superman, allowing Tri-Sentinels to come over and retaliate on him.
Right.
But, I mean, it's situational, right? It depends upon what you're building, what else you've got on your team, what other teams you're going to face. Because in some ways, Mystics would be great if you've got to hit them multiple times, and the Mystics aren't going to be a downside. In other ways, it could be horrible if you're going to keep getting retaliated on. So,
yep,
yeah. So it's fine. I mean, you got to build with at least 3 of those characters. The Green Lantern is probably one of the ones I would aim for, the 40-point Green Lantern. Superman is 60, so you're at 100. And of course, this is attached to Hawkgirl, so you can play her at minimum 30, I think, right?
I thought it was 40 was the lower.
I thought it was 60-30 on her.
There is 60-30 Hawk Girl.
Okay, well then that would be it.
Card one?
I believe it is. It is. Yep.
Oh,
It is
damn.
60 and it is 30, and I'll double check with my own some other time. So yeah. So you can go 130 and you got 3 characters with Mystics, and then they really got to get through that Superman with Mystics. So that's at least 3 damage coming from that Superman if you're going to try to kill him.
It's fair.
So, like Tom said, Tri-Sentinel still exists, man.
Yeah.
Screw that guy. On the
Well, I think that was Mike who said that.
I did.
Oh,
Yeah.
I did. That's fine.
Did you
That's
say
fine,
screw that
Jay.
guy to the Tri-Sentinel, or did you?
No, I just mentioned the Tri-Sentinel, but that's fine, Jay.
All right.
That's fine.
On the plus side, he does have Invincible on the first click, so if they're not doing the damage and they're trying to do it with that wall trick,
Right.
he's got that.
Yeah, I think the 125-point Superman benefits more from the Mystics than the lower point Superman does.
Mm-hmm. Then we got 125 plus 40 plus 30, so 125 plus
That's 195.
195, yep. Yeah, it's not bad.
No, it's not bad.
All right. That's all we have for questions. Somebody pointed out you could play multiples if the starter says Superman.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
If we didn't talk about that, then yeah, for sure.
And that the Doctor Strange chase from Secret Wars Battleworld is rendered useless in post-rotation. Yeah, so now he's worth 50 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's useless, but yeah, all the real joy of playing him has been used up. I'm glad I used him a whole bunch of times.
I mean, he's still a 50-point Mystics with a stop click, perplex, and leadership. And I think range combat expert and force blast. So I mean, he doesn't stop ID cards as well as he does because they're gone, but he's still a good character and he's still mystical and he's a source of a lot of powers that Mystics needs. So
Yeah.
I'm
He's
not
still
gonna take
super
the
helpful.
And Hector, I'm gonna butcher this. Hector Cusa, thanks from Spain. I learn a lot from your videos. My English is bad. I'm sorry. It's all right. My English is terrible too, and it's the only language I speak. So
That's right.
I speak English, bad French, and terrible English.
Well, this is the thing I've noticed a lot. A lot of people from other parts of the world where English isn't their first language, they always feel a little bad when they don't speak English very well. And my feeling is you speak one more language than I speak.
Yeah,
man.
I speak English. I was born speaking French, and I don't even speak French anymore. I just speak English. You're speaking your native language, and you're speaking English enough to have a conversation with me and talk about Heroclix. Dude, that's amazing. That's amazing. You're way better off than I am. Like, kudos to you, dude. Thanks for watching the show.
Yeah. Best I can offer is gracias. All right, that said, special thanks to everybody who's watching live and in the archives. You guys are awesome. One more thanks to our sponsors over at MajesticCCG.com. I believe they're still active. I haven't been on the site in a bit. Probably gonna get asked to write an article after you say that.
Yes, I got a notification recently of a new article that had been up, so they're still going.
They're still active. They're still a great place to learn all kinds of information. The game is not stopped. Roll20 is keeping it alive. A lot of people are playing on Roll20. There's a lot of channels that are actively streaming on it. So check it out. Check out Click Stuff, Critical Clicks, 2 Clicks from KO, Shots Fired. All these guys. They're talking Roll20. They're still talking about the game. The game is still alive. We haven't stopped playing it. The Rock is keeping everything going. Everybody's still playing. So keep your eyes on that. If you get a chance to jump on Roll20 and get some games in, that's as good as practice. And we know what we say about practice. It'll make your team better. Have a good night, everybody.